This is my latest device. This device is set up as an electric generator that totally defeats Lenz's law. This is not a perpetual motion machine that runs itself. What my device is a super efficient electrical generator. For example, if my device was used in a windmill, it would be able to generate 5 times the amount of electricity a conventional generator of the same size could. If my device was used as an electric motor in a car, the car would be able to drive 5 times as far on the same battery charge as a conventional electric motor could. My device provides a revolutionary leap in performance, and it does this by eliminating Lenz's law. The large rotating magnet is made of several smaller ceramic magnets. This large magnet runs from the outer end of one coil to the outer end of the other coil. The stationary magnets are also constructed of several ceramic magnets. This is how Lenz's law works. When the permanent magnet is rotating, when it approaches an electrical coil, it does 2 things. It generates electricity in the coil, and it also gives the coil a magnetic field. The field opposes the movement of the magnet. That's Lenz's law. So you have to use energy or force to bring the magnet across the face of the coil. It's the same on the other side. The magnetism is generated in the coil. This magnetism opposes the movement of the permanent magnet. So it opposes its movement. You have to use energy or force to move the magnet across the face of the coil. Once the permanent magnet moves past the coil, Lenz's law still goes into effect. And as it moves away from the coil, the magnetism in the coil actually changes. It opposes the movement of the permanent magnet by trying to pull the magnet back to the coil. Same way on the other side. The magnetism in the coil changes. It opposes the movement of the permanent magnet away from it, and it tries to pull the permanent magnet back. So you have to use energy or force to move the permanent magnet in both directions, towards the coil and away from the coil. So you're using force or energy all the time to overcome Lenz's law. It's because of Lenz's law that so much energy is needed to make an electrical generator work, or to make an electrical motor work. This is the basics about how my device works. First of all, at the core of the device, of my device, are 3 permanent magnets. 2 permanent magnets are stationary, and 1 permanent magnet rotates. The stationary magnets are both south poles facing the rotating magnet. On one side it will be attracting, and on the other side it will be repelling. But the 2 sides cancel out each other, so there is no feeling of resistance or attraction. To the 3 permanent magnets, I add coils of wire at this end of the stationary magnet, coils of wire at this end of the stationary magnet, and coils of wire at each end of the moving permanent magnet. Now these coils, if they're open circuits, do nothing to change the way the permanent magnets work. You could still rotate this, and it would be the same as rotating it as if the coils did not exist, if the coils have open circuits. Now it changes once the circuits of the coils are closed. When the coils are open, no electricity can be generated in the coils. Also, when the permanent magnets are stationary, no electricity can be generated in the coils. The magnets have to be moving in order to generate electricity in the coils. Here's how my device works in operation with the coils circuits closed. With the coils circuits closed, electricity can flow in the coils, and they can have magnetic fields. They can only have magnetic fields if the permanent magnet is moving. This permanent magnet is moving. Now this is a little complex. As the permanent magnet moves, there are two different magnetic fields. There is the magnetic fields of the permanent magnets, which remain the same, and the magnetic fields generated in the four coils by the movement of the moving magnet. As the moving permanent magnet approaches the coil, it makes the coil, this coil resists the permanent magnet, and it has the opposite magnetic field in the coil. Relative to this one, this permanent magnet is moving. So that means this permanent magnet generates a magnetic field in this coil that opposes the movement towards it. So it generates opposing magnetic field, which would be a south pole. But this doesn't really change anything, you see. It's a north and a south attracting, and then it's of the permanent magnets, and it's a north and south of the coils attracting. So nothing really changes. This side is still attracting. Over here, as the permanent magnet approaches this coil, it creates a south pole opposing its movement towards the coil. Relative to this one, this magnet is moving. So this coil generates a south pole in this coil. But it doesn't change anything, you see. This side is opposing movement, but it's still opposing movement. It doesn't change anything. So this side attracts, this side repels with equal force, so both sides cancel each other out, and the permanent magnet is allowed to rotate as if there was no resistance or attraction. The only energy needed is just the mechanical energy needed to rotate the weight of the permanent magnet, which is very tiny, compared to having to oppose the magnetic forces of Lenz's law. Now, when the magnet moves away, same thing happens. As this permanent magnet moves away from this coil resists the movement away and has a south pole that tries to attract it back. This permanent magnet is moving relative to this permanent magnet, so a coil is generated, a magnetic field is generated in this coil, and it tries to pull it back. But it doesn't change anything. It's really just both south poles, both north poles. It doesn't really. Now, on this side, it's the same thing. As it moves away, as this permanent magnet moves away from this coil, it tries to resist the movement, and develops a north pole that tries to pull it back. This permanent magnet, relative to this coil, is moving, so it also generates a north pole that tries to pull it back. But now you have two repulsive forces in the permanent magnet and two repulsive forces in the coil. So this side doesn't really change anything. This side is repelling away, and this side is attracting back, so both sides cancel each other out again. So there is no magnetic resistance or attraction. Really, it is as if there was no magnetic or attraction or magnetic resistance. It's just all that has to be rotated is the weight of the permanent magnet, which is very tiny compared to trying to overcome the magnetic forces of Lenz's law. That's why my design of my device is superior to all other motors or generator designs. This is a test of my device generating electricity. All four coils can generate electricity. I have my voltmeter hooked up to only one coil. In a conventional generator, the faster you try to turn it, the harder it gets, because the magnetic fields get stronger. The result is Lenz's law opposition gets stronger. With my device, this does not happen. The faster I turn it, there is no Lenz's law opposition, so it does not take much more effort to turn it faster. I have no way of showing this to you. You must accept my word as a scholar and a gentleman. Or you can try and disprove me by building your own device.